100 Men Who Give a Damn, 3 Charities, and the Power of a Story. So first, what is 100 Men Who Give a Damn? Well, we're a group of guys that get together every 3 months and support local charities in the community. The way that really works is we each commit that we will for a year show up every 3 months, $100, and that we will take and turn that $100 over to whatever charity is selected the night that we get together. How are the charities selected? Well, each one of us can nominate any nonprofit charity that we like that's in the community. And from all of the charities that are nominated, it's narrowed down to 3. Those 3 charities are invited to come to our meeting, and they're each given 5 minutes to take and tell us what their charity is all about, what kind of work they do, why they do it, the importance of it, all of that great stuff. They've got 5 minutes. At the end of the 3 charities, each having 5 minutes to present, we all have a poker chit, and there's 3 boxes set up. So one is Charity A, Charity B, Charity C, and you vote for whichever charity you feel inclined to support. And at the end of the evening, all the votes are counted up. Whatever charity got the most votes, that's who gets the money from the 100 Men Who Give a Damn. There's actually about 150 of us, but we don't want to change the name every time somebody joins. So it's 100 Men Who Give a Damn. Anyway, the night here, about a week ago, we had our last event, and there were 3 charities that were selected, as there are every time. These 3 charities were first the BC SPCA, second Courage for Youth, and third was the BC Arthritis Association. So all 3 really good charities, all 3 that do great work in the community. And so, as I said, the way it rolls out is we start the meeting, and the first charity up comes up and they do the presentation. Now, at that night, the first charity up was the BC SPCA. And quite clearly, the 2 representatives that came up from BC SPCA were obviously really dedicated to the cause, which is animal welfare. So the care, the nurturing, the health of animals in the community. And they do an awful lot of great stuff. It was clear from their presentation that they were very committed, and as I said, that they do a lot. And I'm not going to run through the facts and figures. They did at the event. They ran through all the facts and figures, and they told us how many animals were saved and how many were feeded and how many were spayed. It was an impressive impact, obviously, that they have. There was lots of facts and figures there. So that was the first one. Second one up was Courage for Youth. Deb and her partner. Deb didn't tell facts and figures. Deb was very composed. You could tell she was emotional. And she just kind of centered herself on the stage. And she said, I have a young daughter. And my young daughter was having difficulty with social media. There's a lot of social media bullying that goes on. There's a lot of inappropriate things from peers on social media. And she talked about that. And she talked about other things that impact young people in our schools. And Courage for Youth was all about helping those young people deal with the difficulties that they come across in social media and in school in general. And it was very moving. Her story was very moving. And yes, they told some facts and figures too, but they told an amazing story of taking and working with this girl and other teens and moving her from a position where she didn't want to go to school, didn't want to be involved with her peers, wanted to just disenfranchise herself from society completely, to helping her be able to re-engage and take control of her life on social media. And as Deb was telling that story, I turned to the guys at the table with me and I said, that's who's going to get tonight's donation. Just watch. That's who's going to get tonight's donation. Third group got up, BC Arthritis Association. I had no idea that you could have arthritis at the age of 2. I had no idea about how debilitating a disease arthritis was. And just like the BC SPCA, the BC Arthritis Association went through all kinds of facts and figures. There were a lot of details about how many people in British Columbia, how many people in North America are affected with arthritis and just how disabling it is, and all of the work that goes into trying to add quality of life to these people who suffer from arthritis, and they very clearly do suffer from arthritis. All three charities presented facts and figures, story, facts and figures. As soon as they finished, we went over to our poker chip vote into the box, and as I had thought, there was just a solid lineup of guys waiting to put their poker chips in the Courage for Youth box. Yes, the SPCA got some votes, and yes, the BC Arthritis Association got some votes too. And like I said, very worthwhile charities. But it was clear, hands down, before the counting was even done, that Courage for Youth carried the evening. And yes, boxes, way to go, did the official count, although we all kind of knew anyway, did the official count, and sure enough, Courage for Youth got the money, probably somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 on the spot right there. And the guys at the table said, like, how did you know they were getting the money? Like, you know, they put a little chit chat. And I said, it's the power of the story. It was the power of the story. Because stories go right inside us. You know, we're programmed to listen to stories. Facts and figures are interesting, but we buy emotionally based on a story, and we justify with facts and figures. And that's true for everything in our lives. Every decision we make pretty much is made emotionally and then is justified with facts and figures. And so I told the guys, like, you know, as soon as Deb started talking about her daughter and the impact that social media and other types of things were having on teens, it was clear to me that that story was going to carry the night. And sure enough, it did carry the night. Not to say that the other two charities weren't very, very good. They were. But the story carried the night. And that's the power of a story. And afterwards, I got to thinking, all right, who's the biggest storyteller in your life? Think about that for a second. Who's the biggest storyteller in your life? And no, it's not my Uncle Al, who tells great stories. The biggest storyteller in your life is you. You're telling yourself stories all the time. All the time. There's a background of stories running back here. Every situation, pretty much, every scenario that's out there, pretty much, and it doesn't matter whether you're a teenager or an adult or any point in that realm, there's always stories running. I'm not fast enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not quick enough. I don't look good enough. Those are all stories. And the truth of it is that you're buying those stories emotionally. And they're probably not true, but they take on a life of their own because you're telling them to yourself. So think about, what stories do you run in the back of your head? What are you telling yourself about yourself all the time? Because you're listening, you're telling the story, and you're listening to the story. The great thing that we have is that we can be the author of our own stories. And we are, in fact, the authors of our own stories. And since we're the author of our own story, wouldn't it make great sense? Wouldn't it be wonderful if we wrote positive stories about ourselves? Like, I am smart enough. I am fast enough. I look damn good, right? Would those not be better stories to run in the back of your head? And you know, I know it's not really a question. I know emphatically that those are the kinds of stories that you want to run through your mind all the time, because you will buy based on emotion, including buying who you are, and you'll justify that with facts and figures, what happens out here. The more you can run positive stories for yourself, the bigger impact you're going to have and the bigger changes you bring into your life. So my little story here is to encourage you to pick good stories to tell yourself about yourself, because you are amazing. You're amazing, and you deserve to be the best you can be. I look forward to talking to you again soon.